I grew up in Dallas, Texas. I always lived in the Dallas area until my Vegas contract. And I moved to Corsicana when I was about 14. I started ventriloquism when I was 10 in Richardson, Texas. And really it was completely accident. I knew I wanted to be an entertainer from the time I was 3. My very earliest memory is standing on a table singing to people at my church. And thinking, I like the feel of these people laughing and cheering, and they're all smiling and everybody's enjoying themselves. So I knew then I wanted to be the center of attention from then on. So it wasn't a matter of am I going to be a ventriloquist or not? It was a matter of, I want to entertain, I'm going to be in front of cameras, I'm going to be in front of people, what am I going to do? So I went through, I tried hypnosis, I tried magic, I tried everything. And then I just happened to run across a book on ventriloquism by Paul Winchell in my school library, Ventriloquism for Fun and Profit. It taught me the basics of ventriloquism and how to create, and even had like little routines that I memorized and would perform for my friends. So that's really how I started, and it was right around the Dallas area in Corsicana, Texas. Yeah, growing up as a ventriloquist, it was way more difficult to get information than it is now. Of course, now you just go to Amazon, type in ventriloquism books or puppets or whatever. I mean, it's so easy with the internet. Back then, though, my mom, I don't even know how she did it, but my mom researched when I got my book and I started doing it. Somehow she found out about the North American Association of Ventriloquists, which was in Littleton, Colorado. Then she got some sort of I don't know what she did, but I started receiving, so she must have signed me up. And I started receiving their catalogs and everything. And my early influences were Jimmy Nelson, big influence. And I had no idea how good he was until I saw your documentary. I had a record by him, and then I had a record by Edgar Bergen, and they taught you how to talk without moving your lips, and how to do routines, and how to do the distant voice, and different things like that. And then I saw actual video and footage of Jimmy performing. I was blown away by how good he was. But then I was about, in my early 20s, got my very first VCR, and I taped Ron Lucas on his Disney special. It was in the early 80s. And I loved it. I watched it every single day for about 3 years, every single day. And people are like, yeah, no, literally every single day. And every time I would watch it, I would study how he was doing, how he would transition from one puppet to the next, how he would structure his show. Because I kept telling myself, one day, I want to have my own ventriloquist show. And if you're going to do that, you can't have one character for an hour and a half. That's not going to work. So people like Ron would go from character to character to character, and they would have one main character. For him, it's Buffalo Billy. With me, it's Winston the Impersonating Turtle, that makes a repeat performance and comes out more than once. And he's kind of the anchor of my show. And then you just create characters. But that really was a big influence on me. And then, of course, seeing people like Sherry Lewis and Willie Tyler and Lester and Jay Johnson. I was too young to watch soap, but my parents would let me come into the room when he was on. So they would be watching it, so I didn't get to see any of the adult stuff, and they would say, he's on, and I would run into the room and watch him, So that was kind of my life. Just any time a ventriloquist was on television, I was there watching. So. And I went down to Sears and I bought a little Willie Talk doll for $10. And it was a little guy that just had a string coming out of the back of his neck. So I started doing performances that I had memorized from the Paul Winchell book. And by that time, my mom had ordered some other books from the North American Association of Ventriloquists. And I was getting dialogue books and I was learning them. But it was very difficult because the head didn't move. So my mom took him apart. She put a stick on, built him a whole new body, and then took the parts out of one of my sister's doll heads and made it so that I could close his eyes. And then there were 2 rings that I could pull, one to open his mouth and the other to close his eyes. So that's just how involved she was. She was very involved in my early years. And then she took out some ads in the local paper. Kids, for your birthday party, $25 for Terry Fator. And I had a friend who came and saw one of my shows, and I have a picture of that ad, and it says reasonable rates. And he goes, you need to put that in there. I no longer have reasonable rates. But yeah, so he was just a little guy that I got at a store and started using him. But that's really, if you have that passion, you can work with anything. It's not about the puppet. I don't think young ventriloquists understand that. You don't need a fancy puppet. It's about your creation of what you do with that puppet and the character that you create with that puppet.